Alright, I have gone back and forth on if I'm going to make this video, but honestly, if there is any should you read I should make, it should be one for the Southern Reach series, Area X. It is an ongoing series. I thought it was done. It's not. I think next year, this year, 2026, there is a 5th book coming out. I don't remember what it's called. I did look it up though. Like, I'm pretty sure there's tentatively a 5th book that starts with an A in the Southern Reach series. And so I read 4 of them. I read 4 of them last year in 2025, and I figured the Should You Read series is meant to help people decide if things are worth their time, worth their money, and, you know, you could have the opposite experience of me, and that is great. And I will try and tell you what this series is and isn't so you can make the best call for yourself, especially maybe if you're someone who's read the first book and either loved or hated it and don't know if you should go on, because this is a series, even among its fans, where people have very different opinions on different books in the series. So that's what this is. It's my spoiler-free Should You Read for the Southern Reach series, however many books it's going to be. Because I don't think any reviews are completely objective, I'm going to tell you my experience, what I chose to do, my takeaways for myself as a reader. I started this and I read 1 a quarter last year. So I read like Annihilation in the spring, I read Authority in the early summer, I read Acceptance late summer, and I read Absolution fall winter. That's when and how I read them. I didn't give myself too much space between each book. I kind of buddy read the first couple with a few people, but I read the other ones on my own. And I tried to read Annihilation with the physical, and I quickly switched to doing the whole series as primarily audiobook because of the prose style, which I'll get into later on in this video. So I primarily did audiobook, and if you know, there are many audiobook narrators for this series. Some worked better for me than others. I found just in general Annihilation was the weakest for me. And like, this is my order of books, and I think this is important because, like I said, many people have many different opinions about what their favorite books are or aren't in the series. So how much you may align or not align with my thoughts, I think will be easy to see based off this ranking. My favorite is Authority. This is a hot take in the fandom, I feel. I really like Control as a character. I really like the paranoia vibes. Like, all of these have different aspects of horror, whether it's cosmic horror, body horror, paranoia, psychological. Like, it's sci-fi, but I feel it lends itself more towards, like, I don't know, like I said, like a psychological horror story. And for me, it worked the best in that genre in Authority. My next favorite is Acceptance, and I say favorite, it was a 3-star read. And then Absolution, and then Annihilation is easily my least favorite. That's the one I gave 2 stars. So like Authority I gave 4, Acceptance and Absolution are 3, and Annihilation is a 2-star. That's my experience with these books, and I currently do not plan to continue, but there is a part of me that really wants to get it, and I think of rereading it often. I don't think I'd have fun rereading it. I don't think for me the act of reading this is a fun experience because of the writing style and decisions that he makes in terms of the purpose of the work. But like, I desperately want to understand it. Like, I really want to understand this thing, and I don't think that's going to happen, so I feel like I need to cut ties, personally. That's where I'm at. So that's, you know, the baggage I bring into this. Is it wasn't really, you know, a favorite series of mine, but it is one that I persevered with for better or worse. Now, what is this series? Okay, so there's this place called Area X. I think of it in the Pacific Northwest of the North Americas, but I don't even know if we're ever really told where it is. There is a place. It's called Area X, and there's this boundary around it, and something special has to happen for you to enter it, and weird things are happening. And at the core, this whole series is us analyzing Area X from different perspectives. And you're more focused on how do these people, these different people who are drawn to being part of this Area X, whether they're from the area before it becomes Area X, or they are scientists, or are they people in power who want to understand it and take advantage of it. So you're following all these perspectives, and you're attempting to respond and understand Area X. Now, that might make it seem like you might actually understand Area X by the end of this process. I will say you will not. Okay? And I do think how much you are going to like each book is dependent on the perspective in which you are analyzing Area X and the effects it has on the individuals analyzing it. Some are more scientific, some are more bureaucratic, some are just wrong place, wrong time. Some people are, basically get drawn into this because they didn't have another choice. And so I think who you're following is going to have a different response to Area X, and it's going to be a different experience for you, because I will say, I think a strength of this series is the voices are unique. Every voice is very unique. The biologist is so different from Control, who is so different from Lowy, who is so different from the lighthouse keeper. Like, there are so many different perspectives, and they all think and act uniquely. To the point where, like, I was having a good enough time in Authority and Acceptance that I'm like, maybe I didn't really dislike Annihilation that much. Maybe I read it at the wrong time. And then something happens in Acceptance that reminds me, oh no, I cannot go back to Annihilation. I cannot do this again. Okay? And that just shows you the versatility, I think, of Jeff Vandermeer's writing style. But something that was pervasive across all the books was his writing style. And it just was a lot of work for me. It's a little bit dense for me. It's a dense prose style. It's very descriptive, heavy, and long sentences. And I would lose the thread of a sentence quite often. And when I say descriptive, it was primarily descriptive in visual cues, which are not my favorite. Like, sometimes it was more atmospheric, and I really loved those moments. I really do like when we were in the heads of the characters. Like, when I liked a character, the stream of consciousness type of writing style he used, I think was really useful. But when we're not with a character, which can happen for a lot of different parts, like the whole first part of Absolution, you're really not with a character. It's really hard for me to be grounded in those scenes because of his writing style. It's so fever dream surreal at times, because I think it's leaning more into maybe that cosmic horror, body horror tension aspect in a way that just doesn't translate for me. So again, I don't like the biologist, but I love Control, and that's because the ways he does the character stream of consciousness is different. Control, I think he thought more in like short spurts because of his anxiety, and that worked better for me. The biologist really liked to think about things in a way that I found and do think is actively pretentious. I think the biologist is a very pretentious character, and it was exhausting for me, and I didn't find her interesting. But some people really find her interesting, like in terms of like your first view of Area X. So that's just, the mileage is gonna really vary there. A lot of people don't like Control. I really like Control. Now, what this will give you, again, unique voices. You're going to have unique voices. Unique ways of experiencing Area X. You're going to be in an expedition that's in the middle. Like, you're really in media res in the first book, Annihilation with Area X. Other ones, you're going to be looking at it from the outside. Sometimes you're going to be looking at it from the inside. Sometimes you're going to be looking at it from before. Sometimes you're going to be looking at it after. Sometimes you're going to be looking at it in a state of transition. You're going to get different angles, which truly sounds cooler than it is for me, but like, it's the truth. Like, when I was thinking, what happens? That is what happens, okay? It's going to be weird fiction, lit fic vibes. Like, in terms of the prose style, like if you've read The Vegetarian, it reminded me a lot of The Vegetarian. It's going to have some weird body horror discomforts. It's going to have psychological horror. It's going to have a little bit of cosmic horror. Yes, it's primarily, I think, sci-fi in terms of the speculative element. But since we spend so little time unpacking the how, it's more about how we respond than how we get here, okay? And I think that's definitely just more in the horror vein for me, okay? Now, what it will not give you if you're like me. Again, there's no catharsis for me. I have no idea what I have read, okay? I have read 4 books. I am no closer to understanding where Area X really came from. I thought I knew. I'm not quite sure. I know it's not the point, and I have to try and accept that. And I think my issue is that even though it's not the point is response. The point is reactivity. It's so what the hell is happening that I would have loved any sort of catharsis or answers. And like, you get some, but it's one of those classics. You got a few answers, but wait, does that reframe the question? And now, do I even really know anything? It's pretty classic, especially Absolution. I thought I had a handle on things by the end of Acceptance, but like, I don't even know. I like watched a bunch of YouTube videos after the fact to try to connect dots. And I guess I feel like closer to understanding, but I don't feel cathartic. I think my biggest theory is that this is about the response and reactivity to Area X. And Area X can be a metaphor for many things that are out of our control in terms of society and life, environment, etc. Like you can compare it to climate change and like maybe the land taking back. You can compare it to just a classic Cthulhu-like or alien invasion story if you want it to be more genre grounded. You can compare it to how you can't control change in a society or what it's like to be other and trying to get control. You can do all those things. And I think for it to be more effective for me and my taste is I needed more characters that I was invested in to have those conclusions. And it was so sporadic for me that I rarely got there. I mean, I do think for my favorite characters, I got the closest, but there are so many characters I didn't care about or actively disliked. So, because I don't get along with the prose style, which is very, you'll love it or you'll hate it sort of thing, and I only liked a few of the characters, this was largely just a fine series for me that felt like more work that I put in and I didn't get a lot out of it. I always like for art for me to put in work and get stuff out of it. And in this case, I felt like I tried so hard to meet it where it was, and it just didn't care about what I wanted at all, which is fine. That's how art works. But that's Southern Reach, and we're getting a 5th book, and I don't know what it's about. And I don't think I'm going to read it. And potentially there might even be a 6th book on the horizon. This definitely does seem to be a sandbox playground for Jeff Vandermeer. And I don't think the answers are the point. I know the answers aren't the point. So if you're someone who needs that, I don't think you're going to gain a lot from this. Like, I truly do think it sounds cooler than it is. Now, if you end up liking the writing style, if you don't mind ambiguity, this might be your catnip. Okay, so give it a try, see what you do and don't like. My bet is you're not going to like every book, because I don't think I know any fan of the series who loves every book. Like maybe they like some and love others, but like I do think because of that strength of unique voice, just inherently some voices are going to rub you in an abrasive way versus others. But that's my should you read for this. Spoiler free. I mean, gosh, to spoiler it would mean I understood it. Which I don't. And let me know, spoiler-free, down below if you have anything you would like to say to help someone decide if they should or shouldn't read this. Any spoiler comments, I just delete. If you are still curious about this and have questions, you can feel free to answer them, and I or someone else will answer it to the best of our abilities. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, oh, goodness, well, you can leave. Like a fungi plant, a crocodile, an owl, or a bunny, or a boar. I'm just picking cover pictures. So yeah, there's the boar for annihilation, the bunny for authority, the owl for acceptance, and the crocodile for absolution. You can pick one of those 4, and you can do it based off if you just like it or if that's your favorite book in the series. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.